This next loss of men is just awful. Back to the book. Mac Allen lost men. His platoon sergeant took out a typical patrol, terrible cold but no fighting. They came back in about 2 a.m. using a fixed rope to help them scramble up nearly sheer ice below the wire. Came in half frozen and tired. Mac was there to meet them, to check in each man. As he questioned the platoon sergeant about the patrol, the sergeant remembered. "Damn me, Mr. Allen. We left a rope out there, hanging down from just below the wire." The sergeant yelled for another Marine to give him a hand and disappeared over the lip of the ridge with a husky blonde Marine in tow. Mac was back in the bunker taking off his boots when a burst of machine gun fire, then another, ripped through the mountain stillness. Outside, Marines were running. Mac pulled on the boots and crawled out, grabbing a man running by. "Where's the platoon sergeant? Where's the sergeant and Wingate?" In the confusion, it took a few minutes to find them. They both lay dead on the forward slope. Big Wingate draped over the wire, the sergeant curled up looking like a man taking a nap on a reddened patch of snow. One of Allen's machine gunners knew the patrol was in, but no one had thought to tell him about the two men going back out to retrieve the rope. As they came back, he took them for gooks, trailing the patrol home, trying for a straggler, and he fired off 2 short, effective bursts. He was a very good gunner, and he caught both men in the face. The rope was coiled neatly over the sergeant's shoulder. Wingate was in my machine gun platoon on 749 before being transferred to Mac's platoon. Not a terribly good Marine, a brooder. Most men disliked him. One of the few friends he had was the gunner who killed him. Knowing what losing Sergeant and Wingate would mean to Mac, I called him on the company phone to talk about it. He wondered if he should have just left the damn rope out there dangling. No matter that the sergeant should have passed word that they were going back out. This was Mac's platoon, and these his men, and their deaths his deaths. They carried the bodies to the supply tent just below the company CP and laid them out. The cold would take care of them through the night, and in the morning the gook train would come through. But when the gooks got there and 8 stretcher bearers fell out to approach the supply tent to pick up the dead and carry them down the hill, a Marine stopped them, the gunner who'd killed Wingate and the sergeant. He had sat crying all night in the tent, sitting over the bodies, and now he stood just outside the tent flap, dry-eyed but holding a .45 automatic. "You're not taking them," he said. The gooks dropped the 2 stretchers and scattered along the path in both directions. Crazy Marines. The stretcher lay on the ice. Chaffee walked up to the gunner. "Give it here, Corporal," he said. "You know Wingate wouldn't want you doing that." "Stay back, Skipper," the corporal said. He waved the gun, crying again now and shaking his head. I was down there by now with all the excitement, and to me it was pretty clear a fast man standing this close could jump him, and I knew Chaffee was very fast. But the captain just stood there, easily, hands on his hips. "Phil," he said. "Phil, you know Johnny wouldn't want anyone hurt over him." The corporal didn't move for an instant, and then he shook his head, and his right arm flexed, then fell, the pistol hanging loose in his hand. Chaffee reached out to take it. Then he did something I would not have done. He slipped the .45 back into the corporal's holster, patted him on the shoulder, and waved the gooks to come to the tent. Then Chaffee and Phillips and I, with the corporal's help, lay the 2 bodies very gently on the stretchers. They were frozen solid and handled like cordwood. The corporal sat in the snow crying until Red Phillips got him to drink some coffee and go back to his bunker. I realized it was the first time I'd heard Chaffee call a Marine by his Christian name. So this blue on blue, and I seem to hit this in every book that we talk about, and for some reason it's something that doesn't get taught very often, and it didn't get taught to me in great detail, the detail I wish it got taught in. Something that happens as simple as this: "Oh, we forgot the rope, we're going to go back out and grab it." And then you got 2 dead Marines killed by another Marine. I mean, it's just an awful situation. So don't ever take any part of an operation lightly, ever. And make sure you keep people informed of where you're going to be on the battlefield. And there's nothing harder when you're leaving the lines. You got to let people know. Don't take it for granted that people understand what's going on. So these are the kind of things that are happening.